Okay, picture this. The world has literally ended. Earth is completely swallowed by a sudden, lethal ice age. You fought tooth and nail just to survive in these brutal sub-zero temperatures, only to have your apartment breached. But it's not a random raider. It's your ex-girlfriend. She murders you in cold blood just to steal your last bit of food and heat. Absolutely brutal, right? Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're breaking down one of the most intense, chilling survival stories out there.
That is exactly the ultimate low our protagonist Han Feng hits. He's brutally betrayed by his ex, Hyuna, who totally weaponizes her charm right before leaving him for dead. But then, his eyes snap open. He's back in his apartment, completely unharmed. The calendar reads July 1st. He has miraculously reincarnated exactly 2 weeks before the apocalypse even begins. And armed with the memory of his own gruesome death? Yeah, Han Feng is definitely not about to let history repeat itself.
Part 1. The Betrayal and Rebirth.
Right away, Han Feng discovers he hasn't just gone back in time. He's actually awakened these mysterious, glowing superpowers in his hands. And honestly, he's gonna need them, because the clock is aggressively ticking. On July 1st, he realizes he has exactly 2 weeks. By July 14th, he needs his bunker fully sealed. Why? Because on July 19th, temperatures are going to plummet to -40 degrees, which, terrifyingly, is -40 in both Celsius and Fahrenheit, so you know it's seriously cold. And by August 2nd, even the equator drops to around -44 Fahrenheit. This isn't just a bad winter storm, it's a lethal freeze meant to wipe out humanity.
Moving right along to Part 2, Preparing for the Freeze.
Han Feng knows that food and heat are about to become way more valuable than any currency on Earth. So, totally ignoring his greedy ex-Hyona's attempts to cozy back up to him, he enters this massive, highly satisfying preparation phase. I'm talking maxing out massive bank loans because, hey, who cares about debt when the banks are literally about to freeze over? He secures a 1-year supply of fuel, brings in a whole construction crew to reinforce his doors and windows, and builds a dedicated secret inventory room. But the absolute most crucial item? A weapon. He spins this wild, fake story to a local gangster named Homeless Joe and actually manages to secure a high-powered sniper rifle.
But right in the middle of all this prep, a terrifying realization hits him. He hears a rumor about an entire supermarket being cleared out overnight by an unknown entity. It hits him like a ton of bricks. Think about it. If he awakened superpowers, well, someone else out there probably did too. This sparks an intense, completely secret training sequence inside his newly fortified apartment.
Part 3. Mastering the Superpowers.
So Han Feng realizes he can't just rely on canned beans forever. He needs to master these strange, glowing lights in his hands if he's going to survive what is coming. He discovers 3 distinct abilities, and it's like a giant puzzle. The green light accelerates evolution. He uses this to instantly grow crops from tiny seeds, and later to literally clone an unlimited supply of fresh meat. It's wild. The red light does the exact opposite, slowing and disintegrating matter entirely. And the purple light allows him to soften and reshape his physical environment. He can literally turn solid floors into jelly.
But wait, the green light has a hidden, passive function that he discovers by total accident. After breaking his leg in a really nasty fall, he passes out in absolute agony. When he wakes up, his leg is completely healed. He realizes his green light automatically repairs his damaged tissue whenever he loses consciousness. So as long as that power can trigger, he is essentially unkillable.
Part 4. Chaos in the Complex.
Now, while Han Feng is inside eating hot clone steaks, the world outside his reinforced door goes straight to hell. Temperatures plummet, central heating fails, and total societal collapse kicks off inside his very own apartment building. Right into the middle of this freezing chaos steps Mr. Zhang. Now, Zhang's public persona is this selfless leader who promises equal food distribution through an interim committee. But behind closed doors, his agenda is pure psychological warfare. He hoards all the donated supplies for himself and uses class warfare rhetoric to trick starving residents into attacking the wealthier tenants. He's intentionally sparking mob violence just so he can rule over the ashes. But Han Feng definitely hasn't forgotten his past life murderer, Hyuna, and here we get this deeply, deeply satisfying payoff. She texts him begging for food. He promises her supplies, sure, but he forces her to climb 16 flights of pitch-black, freezing stairs because the elevators are completely dead. When she finally drags herself to the top, exhausted and starving, he just drops a bag of flour on her head, completely covering her, and hands her a bag of literal rotting, moldy garbage. Petty revenge?
Oh, absolutely achieved.
Part 5. The military base threat.
Of course, the stakes rapidly escalate way beyond just freezing neighbors with baseball bats. While investigating a series of nearby explosions, Hanfeng discovers a highly organized, totally malicious military force operating out of a nearby base. And this base faction is an absolute nightmare. They have heavily armed special ops soldiers and superhuman enforcers. But their darkest secret? In a frozen wasteland with zero crops, they are keeping living humans in their underground base as literal cattle to solve their food shortage.
The brutal reality of this faction is perfectly captured by their leader, Captain Scar. He chillingly tells a captive, "The living consumes food and the dead become food." It's just a bone-chilling illustration of exactly how far humanity has fallen here and exactly why this faction has to be completely eradicated.
Hanfeng gets pulled directly into the crosshairs when he rescues a heroic old man, Li Jianghao, from one of the base's superhumans. And this guy is a monstrous, hulking enforcer known as the Big Baby. Hanfeng chains his powers so beautifully here, he softens the ground with the purple light to sink the giant, then instantly hardens it with the green light to trap him in concrete, reshapes the enemy's weapons, and successfully evacuates his allies. It is a cinematic masterpiece of tactical combat.
Part 6. A new superhuman alliance. Despite this huge victory, Hanfeng realizes something crucial. He cannot fight an entire superhuman military army all by himself, so he pivots from a lone wolf survivalist into building a terrifyingly overpowered rebel alliance. Hanfeng handles matter manipulation, obviously. He's toyed by Nurse Jin, who wields incredible super strength. Then there's Chu-Chu, this eerie little girl known as the Demon King, who has massive subspace storage. Rounding them out is Zhang Ruing, who creates protective barriers and acts like a human radar, and Yuan Yi, a young boy with absolute manipulation over ice and snow.
With the alliance formed, it is time to take the fight directly to the enemy. The story hits this massive climax as our heroes launch a fast-paced, explosive infiltration straight into the military base's underground warehouse. And they aren't just there to pick a fight. They are there to completely dismantle the base's entire operation from the inside out.
And man, do they pull off the ultimate heist. While the fighting is raging all around them, the Demon King Chu-Chu uses her dark abilities to open her subspace storage. She acts like a literal human black hole, rapidly sucking up all of the base's firearms, their massive fuel reserves, and all their military rations right into her pocket dimension. In minutes, she completely strips the enemy of their ability to wage war.
This infiltration causes absolute chaos in the enemy ranks. Hanfeng rigs the remaining fuel barrels to explode. That massive Big Baby enforcer is blindly smashing through walls, literally collapsing their own infrastructure. And then, in a crazy, shocking twist, one of the enemy superhumans, Captain Zhang, uses his blue fire to actually betray and slaughter his own comrades right in the middle of the panic. The military base is literally tearing itself apart from the inside.
So what does this all mean for our heroes? We are left on a massive, heart-pounding cliffhanger. With the enemy base rigged to blow sky high, all their resources stolen, and their own commanders slaughtering each other, who is actually going to make it out alive? And when the dust and snow finally settle, who will emerge as the true ruler of this frozen wasteland? You'll have to keep exploring this incredible story to find out. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay warm out there.